So I think it's pretty obvious by now that I am a huge fan of the horror genre. Just any kind of material that has the, potential to disturb me or scare me will catch my attention. Although the movies I favor more are the ones that I get more joy from. I still like to see a very disturbing and emotionally draining movie every once in a while, and I don't really know why. But this has kind of seeped into my taste in music as well, which is pretty obvious from my love for Creature Feature and bands like that. But I was just thinking earlier today about the fact that there are stories out there which are pretty scary but wouldn't necessarily fit into the horror genre. And I decided to kind of compile this short list of songs which, personally, I wouldn't play them at any Halloween party, but they're still pretty scary nonetheless for the types of stories they tell. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. My first pick would be a classic song called In the Year 2525 by Zachary and Evans. This, and yeah, I just found out it's Zager and Evans. I know, I'm an idiot. This, tells more of a science fiction dystopian type of story. It's covering this very vast amount of time, which I think is a lot longer than the human race is, likely to survive. But, I mean, I could be wrong, but it brings up some very plausible ideas about how we'll become so dependent on technology that eventually we won't have to do anything. We'll just be these sort of motionless blobs. And it also discusses how eventually we're going to take so much from this world that there won't be anything left, and pretty soon we ourselves are going to expire. And it is, pretty sad and depressing, but again, I do find it very believable with the route that we're going. Now it's been 10,000 years. Man has cried a billion tears for what he never knew. Now man's reign is through, but through eternal night, the twinkling of starlight, so very far away, maybe it's only yesterday. So this next song tells a story which is not only plausible, but has most likely already happened more than once. And it's by a duet of artists. One of them is Nick Cave, the other is PJ Harvey, and they've both done some pretty dark songs on their own. Nick Cave has Red Right Hand under his belt, and PJ Harvey wrote a song called Down by the Water, and those were pretty creepy and disturbing. But together they made kind of a more subtly chilling song, I think, called Henry Lee. In this song, it's a very simple, straightforward story. It's about this man named Henry Lee who is basically just hanging out with this woman. They don't really explain a whole lot. She could be some old high school girlfriend of his, or just some woman who happens to have a crush on him. But there's already this other woman who he is deeply in love with, and this other woman essentially tells him to run away with her, or not even that. She tells him to lie down, which obviously means, hey, come on and fuck me. But he declines, and after that, things escalate pretty far and pretty fast. And, Henry Lee himself hasn't done anything wrong in this situation. It's not like the Fatal Attraction story where, he gets what's coming to him because he cheated on his wife. Again, he declined her offer, but she wasn't gonna take it kindly. And, you know, it could be like the story of this very obsessed stalker, which is something that I can kind of relate to. I mean, this is something that I hardly even believe myself, but I have been the target of stalking on more than one occasion. And granted, whenever these things did happen, it was a lot more aggravating for me than it was scary, but they could have turned pretty deadly pretty quick. And two of these people at least knew where I lived, which, you know, makes the situation so much better. So the fact that something like this could happen and just so abruptly out of nowhere does make it pretty scary for me. Lie there, little Henry Lee, till the flesh drops from your bones. For the girl you have in that merry green land can wait forever for you to come home. And the wind did howl, and the wind did moan, la 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 la, la 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 lee. A little bird looked down on Henry Lee. And now this final song is by yet another artist which has done some pretty dark material in the past. I mean, they've got an album called Number of the Beast. They've done songs like Total Eclipse, which was pretty chilling. And one that I actually wasn't a fan of, although it is fairly popular, is Fear of the Dark. I don't know why that one just never really did anything for me. But if you haven't guessed by now, they're called Iron Maiden. I mean, they're one of the big, like, heavy metal bands out there. One of the bands that kind of paved the way for the genre. And the song that I'm choosing from them is one that was on an album which was, you know, as a whole pretty mediocre in my opinion. It was called A Matter of Life and Death, and the whole thing is just these, you know, patriotic war anthems, and it did get just as repetitive as it sounds. But they did have one song on there which stood out to me called The Longest Day, and I understand that there's a movie with that same title which I haven't seen yet, but you know, I'll admit that this song isn't perfect either. It kind of loses steam during the chorus, and I think it runs for a little too long, but you know, during the verses between the chorus, I think those are the parts of the song which make it worth it and make it fairly memorable from an otherwise unmemorable album. But, you know, it's a song about being on the battlefield and fighting the enemy. And it's really not about glory. It's not about freedom. It's really just about the sense of gut-wrenching fear that one would experience when they're out there. And I mean, I've never fought in any war, and I never want to experience that. So I really don't know what it's like, but I have heard you know, accounts from other people. My grandfather fought in the military, and you know, he considers war films to be horror movies because he's actually been through that stuff. And I think that this song comes really close to capturing the kind of fear that people have experienced out there on the battlefield in real life. In the gloom, the gathering storm abates. In the ships, gimlet eyes await the call to arms, to hammer at the gates to blow them wide, though evil to its fate. All summers long, the drills to build the machine to turn men from flesh and blood to steel, from paper soldiers to bodies on the beach, from summer sands to Armageddon's reach. Oh, the Lord, your master, not your God, the enemy coast, dawning grey with sky, these wretched souls, puking, shaking fear, to take a bullet for those who send them here. The world's alight, the cliffs erupt in flame, no escape, remorseless shrapnel rains, drowning men, no chance for warrior's fate, a choking death, enter hell's gate. The rising dead, faces bloated, torn, they are relieved, the living wait their turn, your number's up. The bullets got your name, you still go on to hell and back again. Valhalla waits, Valkyries rise and fall, the warrior tombs lie open for us all. A ghostly hand reaches through the veil, blood and sand, we will prevail.